I'm Dana K. White of aslobcomesclean.com, and today I'm going to share some really embarrassing before photos. And I'm also going to share the truth about catch-all spaces and how they're primarily just procrasticlutter. And the bad news is that procrasticlutter breeds procrasticlutter, and it grows. So when I let myself have a catch-all space, it just gets worse and worse and worse. But the good news, here's the good news. The good news is that so many times catch-all spaces are actually easy to declutter. I know. It can feel like she's crazy, not my catch-all spaces. But here we go. I'm gonna show you the really bad catch-all space. I hope that I hope the haters have already left because I rambled long enough. Ready? Here you go. Here's a catch-all space. Oh my word, right? Isn't that awful? It's terrible. So this is a room, we call it the study, which we have plans to turn it into my husband's little study kind of area. But it's not there yet. It's not serving its defined purpose yet. And so it ended up being a catch-all room. It just grew and grew and grew in its clutteredness. Yeah, right? Okay, so I decided I have got to get in there. This is ridiculous. I've got to get in there and work. So I got to work and I reminded myself through the experience that so many times these catch-all spaces, I can completely get them done just by going through the first 3 steps of my decluttering process, okay? My decluttering process, the first 3 steps have 0 decisions to be made, 0 emotions to be felt or spent, and I'm just working through just asking myself what in here is trash, what in here is easy, meaning it has an established home elsewhere in the house, it's just not there and instead is here for whatever reason, and what in here just needs to go. What in here is a duh piece of clutter, okay? Like, oh, why do I have this? It can just go straight in the donate box without me going through any kind of process of asking questions. So that right there, those 3 steps got me through the vast majority of everything in this room, okay? So how does that work? Well, the first thing I do is trash. And I start looking and I go, oh, this broken frame is trash. It's me saying what in here is trash. I see that broken frame and I have the moment where I realize, oh yeah, that's trash. That's not something I'm going to fix. Partly because it seems like a huge pain to fix it, and partly because it was something we displayed on the wall for a long time. My kids are a whole lot older than they are in these pictures, and I can keep the pictures and get rid of the frame, throw the frame away, and that's a big mass of stuff that's out of my house. So those, just asking myself what is trash helps reveal a lot of these things that I'm like, oh, for some reason, without thinking, I just randomly stuck it in this space because this space was the catch-all space. That space doesn't matter. And now I just need to ask myself, okay, what in here is trash? And it helps me get rid of things. Because remember, better is good. That's the goal. If I'm walking into this space and I say, okay, I have to do every single thing today, I've got to design this room, I've got to figure out how I'm gonna decorate it, and then I've got to make decisions, huge decisions on all of this, my tendency is to stop before I even get started and just not even try because, oh, that's a lot. Instead, I say better is good. I'm just gonna start working in here and see what I can do. And when I do that, that's when I realize, oh, just focusing on the trash makes a big difference in this room. Oh, easy stuff? Well, easy stuff so many times is 3 feet away from where it actually goes. What was easy in here? Well, the suitcases were easy. The suitcases go inside that, I think it's maple cabinet. It was my mother-in-law's. The suitcases go inside that. It just takes the effort and the time for me to put the little suitcases inside the big suitcases and then put it all in there. Just doing that makes a huge visual impact on this room, and then makes me inspired to keep going because I'm like, oh wow, that made a huge difference. There's less stuff in here now. And so I feel less overwhelmed, and then I can keep going. What's other easy stuff? Oh, well, somehow somebody, it might've been me. It was probably me. I don't know. Even though I know better, somehow there ended up being clean clothes in laundry baskets in here, all right? I do have to say, I know I have my, I don't know if they've come out yet or not, but I have laundry day videos where I explain that. I now live in a world where I have teenagers who do their own laundry, which means that sometimes my stuff that if I was on my schedule, I would go and fold it straight out of the dryer, but instead it gets dumped into places in my house. Okay, so it ended up here. That's procrasticlutter. I just need to hang up those clothes and go put them away. So just getting the laundry baskets out, the big old suitcases into their spot where they're out of my vision. Now this space becomes less and less overwhelming as I go through it, okay? So this space that felt like it was overwhelming, because it was a catch-all, reminding myself that most of the stuff in a catch-all is just stuff that I will be able to work through in the first 3 steps of the decluttering process, allows me to embrace the better is good, go ahead and get going, and then I make a lot of impact. So I made a huge impact in this room in like 35 minutes. And just asking myself what in here is trash helps me realize, oh, this right here was some clutter that I just couldn't deal with it because I was frustrated and emotional, and so it got stuck in this space. What is it? Well, it's Reed's graduation announcements, but it's not the ones we actually sent. It's the ones that got printed incorrectly the first time, and then they still gave them to me to keep. And for some reason, I'm like, well, it has my kid's picture on it, has his face on it, so obviously it's not trash. So I brought it home, and I have this huge stack of things that I'm never gonna use. All the same picture of Reed. Now y'all know, if you know me, I have my own headshots, but I don't wanna talk about that right now. I can identify that we had a lot of the actual correct versions of these, and we've still got leftovers of that. I don't need to keep the mistake ones, okay? But as long as I'm looking at this room and going, oh, there's gonna be a ton of big decisions, then I'm not doing anything. But when I say, okay, what in here is trash? Then I go, oh, actually that's trash. And so I just went ahead and got rid of them. And then there's a weight off my shoulders. Wow, okay, this space looks better just because that stack that had kind of, you know, fallen and spread out and looked even worse, that stack is gone. And so now, okay, I actually can see a difference in this room, and that it spurred me to keep going. Just doing the easy stuff, just getting rid of trash, just looking for, oh, stuff that obviously needs to go. That's basically all that I did in this space, okay? All right, so if you have a catch-all space, just remember, follow those first 3 steps. If you wanna get a printable of my 5-step decluttering process, you can go to aslobcomesclean.com/5, F-I-V-E, sign up for my newsletter, and you will get that printable, okay? Hope that was helpful, that room. I'm just telling you, every time I walk in there now, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that I decided better was good and went ahead and did something in here, because just doing something turned into actually completely changing this room. So, yay. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.